just when I was beginning to like the idea of having a son or daughter one day, I watched this film and it instantly makes me want to go and get a vasectomy. Like, I think I'm gonna take a trip to the doctor right now. Hey, what's going on, sweaties? It's your boy, Mikey Savage 21, bringing you the first review of 2019. I know, guys, well, let's get a little bit of a hand clap in here. I never thought this day was gonna happen. As you guys know, I used to do movie reviews all the time, but then they slowly started to fade out. And so here we are, 2019. And today we're going to be taking a look at the 2019 film, The Prodigy, directed by Nicholas McCarthy, starring Taylor Schilling and Jackson Robert Scott. The Prodigy basically tells the story of Miles, played by Jackson Robert Scott, a young boy who begins to show signs of genius intellect at a very young age, but also begins to show more disturbing and sinister behavior. Sarah, his mother, played by Taylor Schilling, takes him to a therapist who suspects that Miles may be influenced or possessed by a supernatural force. Alright, and that basically is the movie Prodigy. Basic simple story, you know, you got your possession going on, you got a little kid who's very bright and it looked like he might be possessed by some kind of force. Sounds like a typical movie, but I think what Nicholas McCarthy was able to do with this movie is actually quite chilling. Yes, the story beats sound very similar. We've seen possession movies all the time. I think even McCarthy himself stated that this was kind of like a little bit of a love letter to the Exorcist movie, where you had a very paint by numbers movie, which is still great in its own right. I mean, to this day, I still can't make it through The Exorcist. But one of the things that I can tell is he is a true horror sweaty. This guy knows horror. He knows how to scare you effectively. I feel with a lot of horror movies nowadays, they just want to get you with the boom, jump scare stuff. And that can be cool, but at the same time, you want to tell a compelling story that wraps you in, that gets you invested into the characters. And I think that's one of the positives here is the character performance. I think Taylor Schilling and Jackson Robert Scott did a fantastic job of playing this mother and son relationship on screen, because again, we got to see him display his acting chops a little bit playing Georgie in the It movie that came out in 2017. And while he wasn't given much to do in that film, the parts that had him were very effective and very creepy. And the same thing could be said for this movie. Kid's a little bit older now, so he's able to tap into a little bit more of that creepiness factor. And that's the one thing I can say. From the very first day when I saw the first teaser poster for this, I said, yep, this movie's probably going to mess me up on the inside. And like I mentioned in the intro, I watched the movie and it messed me up on the inside. And that's mainly due to Jackson Robert Scott's performance. But then you counterbalance that with Taylor Schilling's character playing his mother. You see her and she really cares about her son. That's the one thing that you saw in the trailer. If you saw the trailer, he says, will you always love me? And that is something that a parent probably thinks about all the time. If my child turns out horrible or whatever happens, am I still going to love them? And that's one of the things I can say, even to the very end of this movie. I could tell that Taylor Schilling was bought in to this character of playing the mother and how she really cared about her son, Miles. And I can say the same thing about the dad as well. The dad's not used as much in this film, but I can honestly say that he actually showed genuine support and care for his wife and for his son. Also, one of the things I have to commend this film for is its way it's able to tell a suspenseful story that kind of flips the whole possession thing on its head. Because watching the movie, you think this is going to be a typical possession movie where you find out, oh, the kid's been possessed by some kind of demon or some kind of spirit. No. It takes that concept and flips it on its head, but at the same time, it has a couple jump scares in there, but it focuses on the true horror of what is seen on the screen and what is seen off screen and what you later on see on the screen. Now, even with all the positives, there were a few negatives here. Like, one of the things I mentioned is, while the story did have some good suspense to it, and while it did have some really thrilling chills to it, and it had this atmosphere of suspense around it, when they got to the explaining portion of what's going on with Miles and you know, and the inner workings of the therapist character and everything, that's when it fell a little bit off of the rails for me. And I don't know. It's like when they tried to start explaining stuff, because again, if you're going to tell a possession story movie, you're going to have to explain what's going on in this movie. And so I felt like when they got to that part, that's when it started to fall off a little bit. There were some twists and turns that I didn't see coming towards the end of the film, but there was a lot of predictability with this film. And again, that's to be expected when the story, again, is just kind of paid by numbers. Again, I'm commending him for what he did, because the overall suspense of this film was great and the scares were great, but the story it's very plain and basic. But the character performances and the overall atmosphere are able to shine a light onto this horror film. And so I really do recommend you go check it out. While this isn't the best horror movie I've seen, I do think this is one that is going to stick with me. Again, it takes the whole concept of possession, a child possession, I should say, and just flips that whole concept on his head. Like I tweeted out on my social media, I went with a group of friends and we all came to the unanimous agreement that this movie is very creepy. It uses jump scares very effectively. Even the ones that you see in the trailer, you're so dialed into the movie, by the time it gets to that particular jump scare, you forget all about it. Again, what McCarthy was able to do with the simple story is pretty cool. Again, all the character performances were really dialed in, especially from our two leads. I thought they stole the movie, and that's what you want from a child possession movie. You want the child to not only shine and give you moments of genuine terror and horror, but at the same time, you want his relationship with his mother and with his father to be featured in there heavily and actually believe into the whole aspect of them, this being this loving family. But again, guys, have you seen The Prodigy? If not, please go check it out, and once you do, please come back to this video, post your thoughts, tell me what you think about it. Do you think this is going to be a pretty good horror film? Again, guys, this is my first movie review back, so if it seems kind of choppy and all over the place, I apologize. Hey, check out some of my other movie reviews I did. I think the last review I did was for Love, Simon. Alright guys, that has been it for this review. I hope you all have a sweaty day, and peace out.